Hello everyone, welcome back to another session on Python. So this is day 2. So today we'll be focusing on Python data structures and collections. So today we'll be looking at how to store, access and manipulate multiple line items within a single variable using Python's 4 collection types. So we'll start off with some basics of list. So list is basically like a collection that is ordered, changeable, and allows duplicate values. Whereas if you want to access the changing items, you can always do that. And you can always add and remove items as well in a list. Apart from that, looping and we'll also take a look at how to loop and create list comprehension. So list comprehension is basically highly Pythonic feature that offers short syntax to create a new list based on the values from an existing list. Okay. Now, if you have like 20 values in a list and then you want to pick some of the values, maybe a smaller list like a subset that you have in mathematics, right? So you can use like you can that is basically called as list comprehension. So you have a bigger list and from that list you are picking a few values. That's how you filter out and then pick a few values. So that's how you can create a list comprehension. Now, apart from that, we'll also take a look at sorting, copying, and joining. And then, apart from that, we will also take a look at tuples, sets, and dictionaries. Okay. Now, all these items, lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries, all these items collectively are called as collections. Okay. Sorry. So basically, a very basic interview question, like if you are starting off, people might ask you, what are the different collections that you have worked on? So don't get confused. So collections basically are lists, tuples, sets, and dictionary. Just the English word. Try to follow the English word. So basically, you are collecting some values or you're collecting some items. And then you're either creating a list, you're creating a tuple, sets, or you can also create dictionaries. Okay. Now let's go ahead and dive into our hands-on. Okay, so I'll just be using the code that I have. And in our last session, I have already discussed the how to comment lines, multi-line comment, and single line comment. So I'll be doing the same here as well. Okay, now let's go ahead with our very first example. Okay, in the first example, so if I'm having a list, okay, and then I want to access some of the items in the list, I can do that. Okay, now, um, okay. Now what we have here? So we have a list. So basically to create a list, ignore this print for now. So basically to create a list, we have to create first a variable name equals to, then we have to start off with a square bracket and then we have to provide the items. So since these are text values, so we have to, so I have provided it with double quotes. Okay. And then after every text or after every item, I'm separating them with a comma. Okay, so here in this particular list, so you can say there are 5 items. Okay, so and remember these 5 items. Sorry guys, just a second. Um, Okay. Now, we were discussing about the items in a list. So basically, we have created a variable tech underscore stack, and then these are the items that we have created: Python, SQL, AWS, Docker, and Git. Okay, so these are the items in a list. So remember, in Python, the indexing always starts with 0. So if I tell what is the 0th item, so it will be Python. What will be the second item? So 0, 1, 2. So this will be AWS. And what will be the fourth item? It will be the Git. Okay, so it will start with 0, then SQL being 1, AWS being 2, Docker being 3, and Git being 4. Okay, so if there are 5 items, so it will start with 0. Okay, now if I want to print, okay, so if I want to print the first item, so I can use the variable name, and within the bracket within the square bracket, I can provide which particular item I want. So if I'm using text stack 0, then I can target Python. If I'm using text stack -1, it will start from the very end, it will go -1. And then if I want items from a certain number till a certain number, I can use something like this, where it will start with the number 1 and then it will go to 4 items. Okay, so it will grab 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now let's go ahead and execute this. So let me first save this, and then if I execute, okay, so there we go. So now you can see the result. Sorry. So if I'm using print first item, so 0, so I get the first item Python. Okay, then if I want to print the last item, so I'll use -1. So from the end, -1, so this will be -1, then -2, then -3, 4, and -5. Okay, and then if I want to slice the items from a certain number to a certain number, or I want to pick the items between a certain number, so we call it like slice. So I want to slice between items 1 to 3. So I can start with SQL, AWS, and then finally Docker. Okay, so 1, this is 1, then it end at 4. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, before 4, it will end. Okay, so yeah, so this is how we can create a list. And if you want to work with a particular item in the list, you can use this approach. Or else, if you want to create a subset and work with more than one item in a list in series, so in sequence, basically you can use a starting position and ending position, and you can slice the items in a list. Okay, now in the next example, okay, now if I want to change an item in a list, okay, if I want to change the item in a list, I can use this approach. Okay, now I'll comment the entire section. So if you remember, as per our first session, so I'm commenting multiple lines. Okay, so yeah, so but I will not, if I comment multiple lines, so the first variable that I've created, okay, the first variable that I've created, I'm also commenting that out. So what I will do, rather than commenting everything, I will just comment out the print part. Okay. Okay, so now I'm basically starting from line 3, and then at line 7 I'm commenting this 4, 5, and 6. These 3 lines I've commented. So as a result, the text stack variable or text stack list that I had created has not been commented. Okay, so now what we have, first we have declared the list text stack. So these are the values. Now I'm picking up the second value. Okay, text stack, picking up the third value, but the index number is 2. Okay, text stack 2. So rather than using AWS, I will replace it with Azure. Okay, and then I'm just printing out the entire text stack. Okay, or entire text stack list. So let me save it, and then if I execute, okay, so now you can see at the beginning we had I had created a list with the 5 items. The third item, or where the index number is 2, it used to be AWS, but now you can see After making this change, I have replaced or overwritten the value from AWS to Azure. Okay, so since I have created or I have replaced the value for tech stack 2 to Azure, so now AWS has been overwritten as Azure. Okay, now I will comment out this part. Okay, I'll comment out this print. Now let's take a look at another example. In this next example, I will be adding and removing items. Okay. Okay. Now, we can use another function called append. Okay. So append basically adds another item to my list. So basically, if I'm having these values, Python, SQL, Azure, Docker, and Git, and I want to add another item, Kubernetes. Okay. If I want to add, so I can use this approach. So tech stack dot append, and then whatever items I want to add, I can add. If you want to add multiple items, also you can add multiple items using comma. Okay. Now, apart from that, if I want to add an item at a specific position, I can use insert. So insert will basically allow me to add item at a specific position. So basically, if I'm using insert and then I'm using the term one or the location of my insert, and then I'm using pandas, then it inserts a value at the index position one. Okay. And then if I use remove, so basically if I want to remove the term or the item Docker, so it will remove the item Docker. So what it will do basically, first it will append Kubernetes at the end, then it will add pandas after Python, then it will remove the item Docker. Okay. And then if I want to remove the very last item, then I can use pop. Okay, dot pop will basically remove and return the last item. Okay. Now let's take a look at the output. Okay. Okay, so now you can see what we have. First, so Python, since we had added pandas, okay, so we are getting pandas. Then since we had added or we had removed Docker, Docker is gone. And since we have used dot pop and the Kubernetes was the last item, so it has removed Kubernetes, and then we are getting this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Okay, so and then finally the item we popped off the end is Kubernetes. So this was Kubernetes used to be the last item, and then we popped off Kubernetes. So now what's happening from tech stack, the last item has been removed, so we still have the 5 items that we used to have. Okay. Now let's take a look at another example. So before that, I will just comment out whatever we have done so far. In the next example, um, let's take a look at looping and list comprehension. Okay. Now, okay. Now, again, so if I'm doing print and then I'm using /n, it will just come to the next line. Okay, it will just come to the next line and then print whatever I have within that print. It will just print it out. Okay. Now, in the first example, so I'm just creating a variable for tech in tech stack print. So you have already, if you remember in our first session, I've already discussed about the formatting or this formatting approach or the self approach. And then I am learning text. So this is the variable that I have created earlier. So it will just print out the variable. Okay, it will print out the variables. Okay, in the text tag, whatever variables you have, it will keep printing out, and then it will come out of the loop. Okay, and then finally again, I want to print out a list comprehension. Now here basically I'm creating a variable. Okay, and in this variable, same approach. Okay, same output we can get, but with a little different approach. Okay, so here I'm creating a variable and I'm using tech, another variable for tech in tech stack, if p in tech. Okay, so this is a little different approach that we are taking, but the output will be some or less the same. Okay, now tech containing p, then we are just displaying tech. Okay, so let me just give you the output and then we can discuss about it. Okay, now first, like if you remember, if my terminal is cluttered, I can always use clear and clear the terminal. So now if I go back, let me just save it again. Okay, so now you can see. Um, okay, sorry. Okay. Now, so what we are getting here in the first example, we every time it's printing for every line or every item. So the first item being Python. So I'm learning Python is printing out the first item, then the second item, third item, fourth and fifth. Okay. Now for list comprehension. So this basically like it creates a new list containing only technologies that have the letter P. Okay. So I'm passing a condition if p in tech. Okay, so if this particular condition is satisfied, only then it will come in and print. Okay, since out of this list that we have or the items that we have in the list, there is only one item which starts with the letter or contains the letter P. So that's why we are getting only one item, that is Python. Okay, so that's why it is only displaying Python. Okay, now for this particular approach, there will be other examples as well, but just have some patience and wait for it. We will do it as we go along. We will see more and more examples on this particular scenario. Okay. Now, let's take a look at another example. Okay. Now, let's take a look at copying and joining. Okay. Now, I'm creating another list. I'm in this particular list, I'm calling it as numbers. And then in this list, rather than passing text, I'm just, the items are more or less, the items are basically numbers. Okay. Now, you can also create a list which has a combination of text and numbers as well. Okay. Now, next, if I'm using sort, okay, this particular sort will just help me sort the list, okay. And then if I want to sort it descending, so I can use reverse equals true, okay. Now, if I want to take a copy of this particular of any list, I can use the function dot copy, okay, or the method dot copy. I'll tell you the difference between function and method as we go along. Okay, so I will create something called as dot copy. Use dot copy, and then I can create another variable which will be the copy of an existing list. Okay. And then if I want to join two lists, so I can create a combined list, text stack underscore one plus numbers. So basically this will give me a combined list. Okay. With text stack and the numbers as well. Okay. So now I will also do what? I will also print. I'll also print backup stack. Okay. And yeah, so numbers have been sorted, so that is fine. Okay. And here I will also print numbers. Before the sorting, I'll print the numbers. Print. Okay. And then I'll also print after sorting. Okay. So how many prints we have? We have one, two, three and four prints. Okay. The first print is basically like after sorting. Here you can see the numbers have not been sorted. So we are creating a sort and then we are printing. Second, we are sorting in reverse. I mean descending, and then we are printing, and then we are creating a backup. So we are printing the backup of the list that we have. I'll just create or bring the backup here. Okay. And then finally we are combining two lists and then we are printing. Okay. So now let me just save it and execute. Before that, I'll just clear everything and then if I execute. So now in the first case, since I've sorted it and printed, so it starts with 5, 12, 45, 89 and 100. Okay. Then descending sort, it starts with 100 and then ends at 5. Backup stack, since it's a backup of text stack, so I'm creating a backup. So backup, I'm printing backup stack. So that's why I'm getting the same values. Okay. Now, since I've combined the text stack and numbers, so now you can see the new list that I have is called combined list, and it has Python, SQL, AWS, Docker, Git, and then these numbers as well. So as I told you earlier, in a list, it's not necessarily you'll have a uniform data type. You can have multiple data types in a particular list. So here we have text as items, and also we have numbers as items as well. Okay. Now let's move on to the next example. Okay. In this particular example, we look at tuples. Okay, just like we have a certain type of data type list, we also have another type of collection. It's called tuples. Okay, just like we have list with square brackets. So basically, for creating tuples, we use round brackets. Okay, so another collection. Okay, now tuples are mostly used, as I've taken the example, for server collections. At times you'll get data from different sources, like if you have heard of hardware devices, IoT devices. Okay, so you'll get data in this particular format in tuples. So basically, to handle that kind of data in Python, so you can start off with tuples. If you want to convert it to a list, you can also convert that. But yes, so this is how the data will look. Okay, in tuples. Okay, so here what I'm doing, I'm creating a variable. In the variable, I have these values. The first one is a text, then a number, and then the third one is also a text. Okay. Now, next I'll just print this particular variable with some text before it. So I'll print tuple data server underscore config, and then we can go. Okay. Now, if I want to unpack a tuple into variables. So here you can see the first value is looking like an IP address. Second is more of a port, and third one is an environment variable. Okay, so or environment name. Sorry. Now, what we can do is if I want to unpack it into multiple variables, I can create something like this. I create three variables. First variable is IP address. Second variable name is port, and third variable is environment. And then I'll use this equals server config. So what will happen? This IP address, this particular value will be taken in as IP address, then this one as port, and then this the final value as production. Okay, so now if I can just do since it is just giving port and environment, I will also print IP, print IP address. Okay, so in the first print, I will be printing port in environment, and in the second print, I'll be printing the IP address. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and execute this. So now you can see first we are printing out the entire tuple, okay, as it is, then running on port 8080 in production, okay, the IP address and the environment. Okay, now in the third print, basically I'm printing the IP address. Now we are getting the IP address. So basically, if you want to create like uh, a middleware where which fetches the IP address from servers and then feeds you to the front end, this is how basically you can configure it. Okay, for now, if you are not aware what is the middleware and front end, so don't worry about it. For now, just focus on tuple. So this is like another collection that you have, just like list, and then on top of this, just like you can do operations on list, you can also do the same similar operations in tuples as well. Okay. Okay. Now let's take a look at another example. So before that, let me just clear everything. Okay. In this next example, we'll take a look at sets. Okay, just like we have tuples, we also have something called as sets. Okay. Okay. Now, okay. Now, here, if you can see, I'm putting some duplicate values in this particular set. Okay, so in this particular list, basically, this particular set, I'm creating duplicate values. So basically, what happens in sets, it will not accept duplicate values. Okay, so it will only give you unique values. So here, if you can see, the admin@test.com has been repeated. So basically, if I want to avoid duplicate values, I can convert this to a set, or I can use a set basically, just so that when I'm retrieving the output, I can avoid duplicate values. Okay. Now I'm creating another I'm creating another variable. So first I start off with a list. Okay. In this list, I'm having duplicate values. Then I'm converting this list to a set. Okay. To convert a list to a set, I can use set and then the variable name that you have used for list. So basically raw emails was a list. So we started off with the list, and then we are using this function called set and then passing the value raw emails, which used to be a list. Now we are assigning it to another variable unique underscore email. So now this unique underscore emails is nothing but a set. Okay. Now we are just printing out this unique emails. Okay. We are printing out the set. So now if I just go ahead and save it, and then execute. Okay, so now you can see when I'm printing out the set, the duplicates have automatically been removed. So this is the advantage of using a set. If I want to convert it back to a list, I can also do that. So now I have a unique emails is a set. So I'll say like list underscore unique emails and then list unique emails. Okay, so list, I can use another function list to convert the unique emails which used to be a set back into a list. Okay, and then if I want to print out, I can just print out list unique emails which converts back into a list. Okay, so now if I save it and execute. Okay, so what happens? So first we are getting a set, and now this set has been converted again back to a list. But since we had used set in between, now the unique value, I mean the duplicate values have been removed, and we are getting only the unique values. Okay. Next, we'll take a look at dictionaries. Okay. Now, in dictionaries, we have something called as key and value. Okay. Now, earlier we used to store one item at a time. Okay. In dictionaries, we can we can populate records as in, imagine like you have 20 students in your class. So if I or 20 employees in your organization, if you want to store the information of all the employees, you can store it in a dictionary. You cannot store it in a list. Okay, you have to store it in a dictionary. So in a dictionary, basically, uh, we have this concept of key value pair. Okay, so if you are coming from a relational database or relational table background, so you will understand. So key value is like key mainly represents, could be like a column header, and value is like a row value. Okay, so if you have a table which has employee ID, name, department, and is active as the columns, then 1042 will be one of the row values. In the same row, the name will be Sarah Connor, and in the department will be engineering, and is active column, it will be true. Okay, similarly you can have multiple dictionary values as well. Okay, now if I want a particular item, if I want to extract the name of an employee, okay, so from the dictionary I can use something like this, employee, and then I have to extract name. So here, this part on the left hand side is called the key, and on the right hand side it is called the value. So as you will, since you both are just starting on your in your career, so as you go along, you will find a lot of places, even when you're using APIs, when you're using NoSQL, a lot of places you'll find this concept of key value pair. Okay, so first one being the key, which kind of represents the column, and value is basically the value, the row value. Okay, so what we are doing it here, so first we are just printing out our line. Then second, we are accessing data through a key. Okay, so this name is a key. So employee name, employee, and then key. So we are passing the name as a key. Okay, employee being the dictionary name. Then the next example, I want to get salary. Okay, dot get. So this is basically it's kind of a safer way so that it won't crash if a particular key does not exist. Okay, so if I'm using get dot get, if a particular key is not available, it will not give me an error. Okay, just to handle the error, so I can use dot get name. But if I'm using employee and then I'm using salary, if that salary key is not there, it will start giving me error message. Okay, so I can use that dot get salary, and then not disclosed is basically will return this not disclosed if this key is not available. Okay. Now, apart from that, next is yeah. So if I want to change the values from the department, just the way we used to do it in list, I can use employee and then the key, and then I can reassign the value from engineering to data science. The salary I can also, if I want to assign a salary, okay, I can employee salary and then 12,000. So basically, I can assign the value another key salary. Okay. Now, apart from that, if I want to create a loop, so I can use for key value in employee dot items print f dot I mean key dot capitalize. So basically, all the keys I want to I'm capitalizing, and then I'm just displaying the values. Okay. So now let's go ahead and execute. Okay. For the first print, this is the line. Second print, we are doing employee name, which is Sarah Corner. For the third print, since salary is not available, that's why it's displaying not closed. Then department. So what is the next print? Okay. So the next prints, these are the prints. So key, we are displaying the key and then the value. So the first key is coming in as capitalize, and then we are getting the values. Okay. Key dot capitalize and then the value. So name, value, department, value is active value. Since we are running it through a loop, that's why we are getting all the values, and I mean all the keys one by one, and then we are displaying the values. Okay. So I hope you have liked this session. I hope you have enjoyed it, and you would like if you feel like there is something lacking, please feel free to comment out, and please let me know your thoughts about the session or any other topics or any other scenarios if you want to include. Okay, so that's it for this particular session. Thank you for watching the video. Keep watching for more videos.